Alrighty, so the two Tuesday game have just finished, and after when I do the review of both of these games, I'm going to do the preview of the 4 games that's going to be happening on Wednesday. But in terms of these two Tuesday games, well, we kind of got the best of both worlds in terms of these two games. You want a game that is crazy and it's completely off the rails and it's kind of MLS After Dark or peak MLS kind of game. We definitely got it in the first one that I'll talk about. But if you also want kind of like a defensive display where, you know, not a lot of chances has happened and it's kind of mostly tight, then we also got it in the second game of this doubleheader that we have in terms of the Tuesday action. But obviously, let's actually talk about the crazy match first, which was the New York Red Bulls versus the Colorado Rapids. And what's kind of interesting about this match is that the Red Bulls looked like they were going to run away with this. Like early on, they were by far the better team in this game, and in fact, they scored just 6 minutes into this game when Drew Yearwood was able to score from Luquinhas to give the Red Bulls a 1-0 lead. And while that did take a wicked deflection off of Abubakar, and that has to be the loneliest feeling if you're a goalkeeper, seeing one that just kind of took a deflection off of your defender and you're already rooted to your spot and it goes the other way. That probably shouldn't have happened if it doesn't come off of a turnover, and I believe it was Abubakar, the one that gave the ball away, and he would have an absolute nightmare game in this one. I mean, it was so bad in terms of the performance that he actually got subbed off at halftime because of it. But just 3 minutes later, it was 2-0 in favor of the Red Bulls. It's Aaron Long scoring from Lewis Morgan to give the Red Bulls a 2-0 lead, a pinpoint pass there from Lewis Morgan from the free kick, and you know Aaron Long is dangerous in the air, and he slots that one away to give the Red Bulls a 2-0 lead. And again, early on, it was all Red Bulls, and looked like they picked up where they left off against Austin in the last league game, which is, you know, they come out strong out of the gate and score a couple of goals, although this time, at least some of those goals were not disallowed because of offside. And I thought it could be a long night for the Rapids. Like, yeah, you know, this is a Rapids team that I've already mentioned. They have not won a single game on the road this season, and the fact that when you go 2-0 down just 10 minutes inside the game against one of the stingiest defense in the league, that is just kind of almost game over moment for the Colorado Rapids. And in the 13th minute, Yarbo would then deny Tokens from long range before Tokens fires it wide from long range. And John Token, once again, very active in this game. And although he hasn't had a lot of goals, I like the fact that he of course is keep trying and kind of fire those away, because as the old saying goes, you're not gonna score if you don't keep trying to shoot from distance or from close range. But up to that point, again, it was all Red Bulls. I mean, they were dominating the possession and they were dominating the shots. But before I get a chance to finish writing that, Colorado got one back. It's Diego Rubio scoring from Lewis to give one back for the Rapids, and this came off of the WTF turnover from Castries Jr. And I talked about Abubakar having a nightmare of a game. The same goes for Christian Castries Jr. I mean, this was a disastrous game for him. Probably the worst game I've seen him in a Red Bulls jersey, where he was just constantly giving the ball away in the midfield, and that this was an example of it, where just gave the ball right to Lewis in a bad spot. And we've seen it so many times this season. When you give the ball away in your own half in a bad position, yeah, you are basically asking to get punished, and the Red Bulls were punished in that one. But to the Red Bulls' credit, they didn't unravel because of it, because they had a chance to restore their 2-goal lead, as a penalty was given to the Red Bulls after Abubakar brought down Luquinhas after he gave the ball away. So yeah, that was a double whammy there from Abubakar, once again giving the ball away carelessly, and then of course committing the penalty. And originally he actually got a red card, so it was actually almost a triple whammy for him, giving the ball away, you can see the penalty, and then also getting the sent off. But VAR did overturn the original call. And apparently, you know, again, I have this discussion about whether or not if the double jeopardy rule does exist in MLS, and I think I come to a conclusion that no, it does not exist in MLS, and that I feel like maybe nowadays the calls are just based on whether or not if indeed that was a denial of goal score opportunity even inside the box. And when you look on the replay, I think they got the call right in the end, overturning that one via VAR, because you can clearly see, I think there was 2 Rapids player that was ready to get to it. I think Danny Wilson was probably the closest in terms of about to make a play, have Abubakar not brought down Luquinhas there, and rightfully so. I think that they rescinded that red card and the Blue Club was able to stay in this game, which, you know, in a Rapids standpoint, I don't think that was a good thing because, like I said, Lalo Sepulveda has had a nightmare game up to that point, and I think they were better off with him getting sent off, and also better off of taking their chances being down to 10 men, knowing the fact that this season there's that narrative of just because you're down to 10 men, it doesn't mean it's game over, and you actually could be the better team because of it. But that being said, it stays 11v11, and Lewis Morgan buries that penalty to make it 3-1 in favor of the Red Bulls. And again, up to that point, I was expecting, yeah, this is going to be a comfortable victory for the Red Bulls, and that they maybe can score a 4th or even a 5th goal to really blow the Rapids out the door. But give the Rapids credit in this game. They never stopped fighting, and this was kind of a performance that for the Rapids that Robin Fraser has been looking for a long time, and kind of reminds you a little bit of last season, where this is a team that don't give up easily. And in the 37th minute, they got one back. It's Keegan Rosenberry scoring here to make it 3-2 in favor of the Red Bulls. What a goal that was from Rosenberry. Definitely in contention for goal of the week. And we know he can definitely hit one from distance. And he basically hits that one at distance. Find the corner. And yeah, that reduced the lead back to a 1-goal advantage. And again, I even wrote, looked like the weekend goal fest has continued into the middle of the week. I mean, we saw a lot of goals that was scored in match week 23 in terms of the weekend's action. It seems like it continued into this one, and are we in for another kind of like 4-4 type of game. But in the 39th minute, Yearwood did skies one into the stands, while Long fires it high from close range in the 42nd minute, and we do head to halftime with the Red Bulls holding on to that 3-2 lead. But in the second half, the Rapids, I thought they were on the front foot. Like they sense that they can maybe get the equalizer, and they started to kind of dictate plays. Though Castros Jr. did fire one high from long range before Morgan fired one just high from long range effort. And for the Red Bulls, you know, despite they were a little bit shaky in the early moment, they kind of regained control of this game and were looking to try to score the 4th goal. Though the Rapids almost equalized in the 72nd minute when Barrio's shot was clear off the line by Sean Nealis. But then in the 77th minute, they do equalize this game. It's Connor Warren, an unlikely goal scored here to tie the game up at 3 apiece. Remember when he went through a long stretch up here without scoring a goal? I mean, I know he's a defender, and usually when you're a defender, you don't score a lot of goal, but it was kind of amazing the fact that, I remember the last time he scored, which I think was last year, he actually went for like 5+ years without scoring a goal, and now he was able to get another goal here. And again, it was a kind of an unlikely sort, and you also got to feel for Carlos Cornell here, because he absolutely raw maxed it there from the corner. Like, Max was just pretty much wide open in the box. Got to question where was that marking from the Red Bulls defense in the corner, but Cornell made a great save there on Rob. Cornell made a great save there, robbing Max from a point-blank effort, but it just basically fell kindly to Warren, who was also unmarked in the back post. And yeah, that ties the game up at 3 apiece. And then before I even had a chance to say maybe the Rapids has the momentum, they would all do the unthinkable and make this a 4-3 game. And it's Barrios scoring from Rubio to give the Rapids a 4-3 game, and Red Bull Arena was in complete silence. And it feels like the Red Bulls were going in full Metro and almost going in a similar collapse that they had against Orlando City. Like, it's safe to say this is the second consecutive game we have seen the Red Bulls go through that meltdown. We saw it in Orlando City, where once they concede a goal, the floodgates basically open, and it's happening again in this one. Look like they were comfortable in part of this game, and we're looking for that 4th goal, and next thing you know, the Rapids score now 2 unanswered, or 3 unanswered goal now to take the lead. And I also thought, are we in for another 4-4 incoming? Because we saw something similar to this in that game between Inter Miami and FC Cincinnati, where FC Cincinnati was able to score two goals in quick succession to make it 4-3, only for Miami to tie the game up. Though it looked like it was going to be 5-3, it looks like it wasn't going to be 4-4 when Yaya Torre actually thought that he scored his first goal in his MLS career, but unfortunately that goal was disallowed for a foul on the attacking sequence. And at the end of the day, I think that is the right call, even though I know that was in the direct of the attack. When you basically foul someone, even not in the direct of the attack, it is still considered a foul. And I think they rightfully so disallowed that goal, and I believe VAR basically did that. But that being said, in the 87th minute, you know, I'm pretty sure Yaya Toure was kind of disappointed that he wasn't able to get his first career MLS goal. So he makes sure he works extra hard to get that, because just 3 minutes later, he would score his first career MLS goal. And again, this come off of a great save from Carlos Cornell. I mean, I'm not going to blame Cornell for this performance. I think he played well in this game, but his defense just completely hung him out to dry throughout this one. And that, yeah, Toure was there, open to tap it in, and he scored his first career MLS goal to give the Rapids a 5-3 lead in this game. And you're thinking, game's over, right? The Rapids finally getting their first win. Well, not so fast, because in the 4th minute of stoppage time, there was a penalty that was given to the Red Bulls as Rosenberry basically brought down Lucanias in the box. And right as that penalty was being called, there was a pitch invader that was invading the pitch. And although they didn't show it on the MSG feed, I mean, they usually never show a pitch invader on TV. They kind of talked about that on the MSG feed, and it was kind of funny the fact that happened right when the penalty, of course, was called. But at the same time, there was also a moment where we saw that Lucania's number on the back of his jersey was missing, and I think that probably has now reached the peak MLS level. Or maybe if you have an MLS peak bingo card, and you get that as one of your item on your bingo card, you automatically should get a bingo, because I don't think I've ever seen a situation where a jersey number at the back of a play or a back of a player jersey got ripped apart. And apparently they said that it got ripped because during an attacking sequence, which that's kind of interesting, because I guess maybe it was Rosenberg bringing down Lucanias there, and he kind of pulled the jersey number down. But at the same time, you got to question, what kind of jersey is that? Is that a fake MLS jersey? Because you know how those fake MLS jersey, those knockoff one, those number does tear off if you wash it too much. I feel like that was kind of the case, because those numbers and those authentic jerseys shouldn't have numbers kind of tear off so easily like that. But that being said, as I said, it was a penalty that was given to the Red Bulls, which Tom Barlow actually took the penalty. I'm not sure if Lewis Morgan was subbed off up to that point, and if he was still in this game, I was kind of interested to see Barlow was the one that takes the penalty, but he puts that one away to make it a 5-4 game. And then just a couple of minutes later, we thought ultimate chaos have reached in this game, as Barlow basically puts it into the back of the net, but unfortunately the goal was disallowed for offside, and they did kind of do a brief VAR check to make sure that is the case. And when you look on the replay, I mean, yes, I think in the end they got the call right, even though it was relatively close, and that I don't think there would have been enough evidence to overturn it. But really, for the sake of just peak MLS mode and just ultimate chaos reach in an MLS level, they should have given that a go. I mean, after all, Pro has already missed some bad calls in the end. So, you know, if you're going to be consistently missing bad calls, at least do it in a time where, you know, it would bring ultimate chaos to a game. And that, I'll tell you what, if that goal would have got counted, even if it is a little bit controversial, nobody will talk about the controversial moment. Everybody will talk about how this is the first time in a long time that I remember a game ended 5-5. I mean, I don't even remember the last time an MLS game have ended at 5-5. I mean, we have seen games that ended 5-4. Most recently, didn't one of the Montreal versus FC Cincinnati game ended 5-4 like that? But a 5-5 game is something that we have not seen before. A 10-goal kind of thriller is something we have not seen it for a while. And that, again, I feel like, you know, if there is a time for VAR to miss a call in Pro to show their inconsistency, and nobody would bat an eye on it, this was the time to do so. But yeah, I guess maybe in the end they're just gonna have to ruin the fun, and that, you know, I think for the Rapids, they're probably the only one that's happy that Pro actually got the call right, because in the end they got a hard-fought 5-4 win against the New York Red Bulls. The shots in this one, 17 shots compared to 13 that the Rapids had, 6 shots on goal for the 8 that the Rapids had, 8 shots off target for the 2 that the Rapids had. Both teams had 3 shots that was blocked, and possession-wise, 49% possession compared to 51% possession that the Rapids has in this game. And overall, just an insane game that we saw in this one. I mean, I could say that this could be the game of the year, but after what we saw in the previous match week, where there was 2 4-4 game that was easily as exciting as this one, it's hard to know what is the game game of the year anymore. Like, if they do have to vote for game of the year this year, oh, but they got a tough choice, because there were tons of madness kind of game that we've seen so far this season, and I think all you have to say is that this basically adds into the latest one. But in terms of the resort itself, there's no doubt the Rapids are going to be very happy in the fact that finally that row form that they have just been disastrous this season, and finally they've been waiting for a long time to get their first ever row win. It finally happened in this one, and with this win, they're now all of a sudden back in the playoff race. Like, you know, it was looking bleak for this team for a couple of weeks. That looked like they were going to be looking in the outside in, but now they got themselves back in the playoff race. I believe they're only like 3 points, also with a game in hand in terms of making the playoff and go above the red line. There's still a chance for this Rapids team to make it to the playoffs, although, you know, they need to, of course, win more road games if they're going to do so. But for the New York Red Bulls, yeah, this is the second consecutive game that they have completely collapsed in the second half, and also they have now given up 13 goals, going back to that U.S. Open Cup game against Orlando and that game against Austin FC. And for a team that was supposed to be one of the best defensive team in the league, something has gone wrong with this team. Like, how in the world did this team gone from giving up, being tough on the defense, to now leaking goals left and right? Now, I'm not sure, maybe this is just kind of one of those times where when some of the best defensive team will go through a tough stretch where they just leaking goals. But, you know, if you're a Red Bulls fan, you're hoping that that's the case, because, yeah, this is probably not the best time for them to start leaking goals left and right, especially as we are now coming down the stretch and almost coming down to the crunch time where it's really make or break time for teams that wanted to make it to the playoffs. I still think the Red Bulls will get to the playoffs, but again, you know, we've seen late season collapse before, and the Red Bulls are hoping that that's not going to be the case with their problems on the defensive end in these last couple of games. But that being said, moving on in terms of the next game, as I spent a lot of time talking about this one, and unfortunately I probably won't spend a lot of time talking about this one between the Seattle Sounders versus FC Dallas, because you knew that after just such a crazy game like that. I mean, as much as I kind of want another ultimate chaotic game in MLS, something tells me that this game was going to be a letdown. And in a neutral perspective, yeah, it was definitely a big letdown, because there wasn't really much that happened in this one. But obviously the Seattle Sounders wouldn't care. I mean, they were desperate in terms of getting a win, and there was multiple times, I think I hear in the Sounders feed, they mentioned this was a must-win game, and it was. I mean, this team have lost 4 out of their last 5. They're going through a very un-Sounders-like kind of bad run, and that you know, in this game against Dallas, they had to get a win if they want to stay in this playoff race or even get above the red line, which is exactly what they did at the end of this game. Now, early on, Paz did deny Ladero on the front post, and as expected, Seattle has most of the possession early in this game, and Dallas was just looking to sit back and counter and trying to play the perfect road game that they did exactly what they did against RSL just a couple of games ago. Though Hara did hit it wide from close range in the 13th minute, the shots were only 1 apiece through 15 minutes. I mean, it was not an exciting game. Definitely not as excited as the craziness of the start of this one. In the 29th minute, Fry did deny Cervania from close range, and I thought despite all the possession, the Sounders were looking lackluster in the final third, and that's been the story throughout this run that they've been on, where those goals have just simply dried up for this team, and all those great attacking talented player on their team, they're underperforming. And some might also say, well, they haven't had Rui Diaz in this team, and maybe that is the case. I don't think so. I think when you look at this team, and especially when they, even during the time when they don't have Rui Diaz, even going back to last season, this team still can be lethal on the attack. And right now, they definitely look lackluster doing this bad run that they were on, and it kind of shown in this one, where this just didn't look like the Seattle Sounders that I've seen that dominates the league time and time again. Though that being said, they do get a break in the 36th minute, because a penalty was given to the Sounders after Paz brought down Morris in the box. Yeah, this was not a good moment for Martin Paz, and as much as Paz has been big for Dallas this season, making some big save, and has been considered to be one of the better goalkeeper in this league, this was a huge mistake on him. Like, he basically comes off his lines when he probably shouldn't have done so, and basically ran into Jordan Morris. It's always going to be a penalty, which Ladero puts that one away to give the Sounders a 1-0 lead and what would be the winning goal of this game. Now, in the 43rd minute, Poss did make up for it, making a full stretch dive to deny Ladero on the free kick as we head to halftime with the Sounders leading 1-0. Now in the second half, Morris did pose it just wide from 22 yards out as the Sounders were on the front foot again. We're looking for the second goal. Morris had a header that just goes wide before O'Brien fires it high after he went through on goal. Montero then puts it high from long range, and despite these long range effort that the Sounders were putting, and they were putting a lot of long range effort, like they were not afraid to fire away from long range. I thought, you know, even though these long range effort from them wasn't on target, Dallas need to do a better job in terms of closing things down, because there was many times I've seen them not doing a great job closing down. They were allowing the Sounders to shoot from distance, and again, even though they weren't having a lot of success, this team has the players that are capable of scoring long range goals, and that they, if they're not careful, then one of those players is going to score that, and this probably would have been game over. And again, I also thought that despite Dallas hasn't threatened the Sounders goal in this one, you know, you kind of feel like for the Sounders, they need the second goal. Like, from what we've seen throughout this past weekend, where there was multiple teams blowing 1-0 lead late in this one, or blowing a 1-goal lead late in the game, you just feel like it won't be enough, and that you know, it only takes one good attack from Dallas, or maybe one good fortune, one good bounce for Dallas, and all of a sudden they could be in and score and tie the game up. But in the 85th minute, Poss did deny Nuhu, and he actually went through on goal. Like, Lumansville were ready to erupt if that one went in, but Poss make a big save to deny him there. And then Ferreira basically fires it way high, which pretty much sums up the Dallas attacking performance. I mean, part of that is the Sounders did a good job in terms of the defensive part, but, you know, Dallas, they were toothless going for on the attack in this game. And really, for both teams, neither of these teams really done well on the attack, but in the end, it was the Sounders able to get the 1-0 win. And again, that mistake from Team Poss was kind of the difference in this one. As the shots in this one, 11 shots compared to the 15 that Dallas had, 4 shots on goal compared to the 3 that Dallas had. Both teams had 5 shots off target, 2 shots that was blocked compared to the 7 that Dallas had. And possession-wise, 55% possession compared to the 45% possession that Dallas has in this game. And like I said, for the Sounders, they now move up to 6th place in the Western Conference, and they're only 3 points back in terms of 3rd position. As I mentioned, 3rd through 8th or 3rd through 9th is still very tight right now. But you know, you just kind of had a sense that for the Sounders, with how bad they've been playing, they needed this win badly, and they got exactly that. But for Dallas, they just simply didn't show up in this one, and this kind of feels like a very similar performance from what we've seen them last season, and really kind of what we've seen them in the past couple of years, where whenever they go on the road, they just show no resistance against the home team, and they end up just kind of just show up for the game, and then yeah, just decide to head back and hope that they can get 3 points at home. But that being said, that is pretty much it for the review of 2 of these games. Let me know in the comments below, what do you think of these games, because I know many people will talk about this one rather than the relatively uneventful game between the Sounders versus FC Dallas. But hey, let's hope that maybe tomorrow we're gonna get some crazy game, especially as I'll talk about in the preview. I will actually attend one of those 4 games that is going to be happening tomorrow. But until then, hope you guys enjoy this video. If you do, make sure you guys leave a like, smash the subscribe button, and yeah, I of course will see you guys next time.